Um,
We are live. I'd like to welcome everyone to another episode of Heart to Heart with Bree. I'd like to welcome my guest, Dr. Joan T. Randall. Joan, please introduce yourself to the viewers.
Hi there. I'm so excited to be here with Bree tonight. My name is Dr. Joan T. Randall. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I operate in the ministry, the mission, and the marketplace field. I do publishing on one side. I help people write their books and publish so that they can get on the bestseller list and then use their books to create multiple streams of income. And I'm also in the real estate business as well, where I help people to buy, sell, and invest in real estate. So that's pretty much me, just from a career kind of entrepreneurship perspective. Outside of that, I'm a mother of two adults and a grandmother to four. And here I am.
Very busy woman, very busy woman. Oh, Joan, I am very excited about this topic.
Yes.
And in fact, Maxine calls me. She called me. I was about to take a shower. What time is Joan coming
Oh
on?
my
So, yeah. So, yeah, I'm really excited about this. So tonight's conversation is about why should I write my life story? So, Joan, from your perspective as a publisher,
Mhm.
why should we write our life story?
So our lives, it's the blueprint of who we are, right? And it's a level of stewardship.
Yes.
Because once we were all placed here on earth with seeds inside of us, right? And those seeds have to be planted, they have to be nurtured, they have to be watered, they have to be pruned. And from those seeds, a tree comes forth. And when I
Yes.
say tree, that's a metaphor. I'm talking about the gifts and the skills and the talents and the treasures that you have given and your lived experiences. And so when you come through something, know that that is a bridge for someone else who may be going through that same thing and don't know how to navigate that water. But here you are, you have the wisdom because you've experienced it and you have come through it. And so you putting it in a book is no longer about you, but it's about the audience that you were called to serve, right? And in that book, there is going to be some nuggets that that person who is waiting for what you have to say will hold on to and glean on it and will use that to be the thing that helps them get past or get over what they're going through. So your book is your blueprint.
Yes, I
It is.
totally agree with that. I love how you put that. And Maxine says, I came on especially to see my sister Joan. I don't know if I should be hurt, Maxine. No, but hey, no, we love Joan and we always look forward to having Joan on. So Joan, I'd like to talk about writing from a place of pain
Yeah.
versus writing from a place of healing.
Oh, wow. So let me tell you the difference, right? Um and some people do both,
Yes.
right? And when you're writing from a place of healing, it's good. However, you have to go back to the pain to be authentic,
Yes.
right? You have to go back to the pain to be authentic, right? So when you write from a place of healing, it means that you have gotten past it, that it will not trigger you. Whatever the issue was, it will no longer trigger you, right? But you're going to have to dig back into the pain in order to be authentic to the words that you're putting on paper. Now, there are some people that just want to write from a place of healing, but they never go back to the pain. And so the pain is buried and not dealt with, right? And so when that person writes just from healing, they're really truly not exposing themselves because it is in the exposure that the transformation happens. It is in the
Let me
exposure of the truth, of the truth, of the shame,
let
right?
me tell
That
you,
breakthrough happens.
what you're saying is 100% truth. Because I remember 10 years ago
Mhm.
when you reached out to me, you were like, Bree, you have at least 5 books in you, and I know you do. I've been writing. I've been writing for a long time.
Mhm.
But this time around, I noticed a difference. And I was writing from a place of healing, but just you said it.
Yeah.
I had to revisit the pain. I did a lot of crying. I did a lot of crying, Joan, a lot of crying. But because of going through therapy and all of the work that I've been doing, I am now able to, it didn't trigger me.
Yeah.
It didn't set me back to that dark place where that was one of the reasons why I avoided the writing. But
Mhm.
this time around, it was a totally different experience. So let me tell you, this woman knows what she's talking about. As you were saying that, Joan, I was like, wow, wow. So now let's talk about, and you mentioned the word authenticity. Let's talk about writing in truth and authenticity. I've said it to you so many times about your book, Bags in the Attic.
Yeah.
Why I liked it so much was because it was authentic. You didn't try to hide anything. You were very straightforward in your truth.
Yeah.
So I'd like you to address writing in truth and authenticity.
So when you write in truth, it means that you're not hiding anything, right? And a lot of times we like to hide what um, makes us seem so when you don't write in your I want to make sure my words are clear, right? I don't want to say something that might offend anyone. But when you write from a place of authenticity, when you write from your truth, that means no stone is unturned.
Yes.
None of us are perfect, right? None of us are perfect. We have all, gone through ups and downs, good and bad, and we have done some things that we are not happy about throughout our lives, right?
Yes.
But those are the things that we grow from. And then wisdom comes from making mistakes and then understanding later on how to correct those mistakes.
Yes.
So if I write about my truth, I'm going to tell you the bad parts of me and the things that I did that weren't pretty, the things that I did that was ugly. Because the only way I learned my lesson, the only way I get to my truth is to tell you the bad and then share with you how I got to the other side of that.
Yes.
So
Yeah,
when
and
you,
I think it helps the reader
yeah,
because the reader who have made a mistake or felt like, oh, I'm so ashamed, you help to release that person from shame and guilt because it's like, you know what? Joan went through this. So, and she's writing about it. And I think you're setting people free. I mean, what do you think about that?
absolutely, because when people relate to stories, right? And
Yes.
people relate to the truth, people are so the reason why even Rags and the Addicts did so well was because people could see their own ugliness in my ugliness, right? I never wanted to write that book or any book. I've written 18 books now, but I would have never want to write a book that gives an impression that is false about who I am.
Yes.
And I really don't care what people think. You get to a point in your life where you don't care if they criticize you. Like, I don't care what you say, right? But the one thing about me is I'm going to tell my ugly so that you can hold that over my head. And if I need people to get their breakthrough, I have got to show up in the ugly of me and say, listen, I was there. I know what you're going through. I have been there. I've done some things that were shady. I've done some things that were wrong. I made a lot of mistakes, but I've learned from those. And you can learn from that too. So I think when you're writing, be open, be honest, be transparent. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because there's
Yes.
no shame. There's nothing that you have done that has not been done before.
And that is so true. I'd like to welcome Joyce Lammy. Thank you for tuning in. And Mikey Go. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. You
That's
know,
my brother, Mikey. That's my guy.
Mikey, I just love him. I tell you now, Joan, I tell you, when I read Bags in the Attic, and I told you that was my mother's story, you gave me a chance to relive when my mother took us from England to Jamaica. And it was a very scary experience. As I read your book, I could visualize you and your daughters, but I was also able to visualize myself and my siblings and my mother.
Yeah.
Because of your story, I understood what my mother did. It gave me a whole new level of respect for her. But I tell you what, the respect that I felt for you, for your truth, and you remember, I texted you after I read the book, and I told you, I appreciate you being so honest in your book, and you know, bringing attention to what you went through. It gave me a voice because I didn't feel so ashamed anymore of my experiences. So I just think that, being authentic is everything. So now, and it's just a continuation on of this previous question, whitewashing your story versus the raw truth. I think when you're not telling the raw truth,
Mhm.
you're insulting the reader. I
Yeah.
think when the reader is reading your story, they know when you're being authentic. I think they can tell when you're trying to whitewash and make your story pretty. I mean, would you agree with that, Joan?
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, if somebody doesn't know you and they are reading a book from a person that they do not know, they may not know what is the truth.
Yes.
You know that, right? You know what is the truth. And so if you are putting out a book and you know that you are not being honest about what is in the book, then why write it?
Yes.
Don't even write it, because then, there is that, that's not the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And so you wind up feeling, how do you feel? I've had people that come to me all the time. I've helped almost 400 people publish books at this point. And I've had people that come to me and said, I want to write my story, but I don't want to put this part in it. I don't want to say this, or I don't want to say that. And I always say to them, then why are you writing something that's
Yeah,
half? Why are you writing half truths? Well, I don't want this person to think that I'm calling their name. I said, but this is your story.
that's right.
It's your story. So why are you afraid of someone that, or you afraid of someone saying, well, you're talking about me when you're telling your story? You
That's
see
right.
what I'm saying? So that's the part sometimes that I have an issue with, when people don't want to be their honest self.
Yeah, I think it sets you free. And I do believe it's a gift to the reader. Now, let's talk about the desire to heal. In my writing journey, I can tell you this time around the
Mhm.
healing that I felt. Every page I wrote was with tears, but
Wow.
the healing that I felt, because I knew that I was being honest. And like you said earlier, I did have to revisit the pain, and
Mhm.
it was tough, but the healing that came knowing that, you know what, I can lay down and go to sleep. I don't feel any guilt. I don't feel ashamed. What I wrote was what I wrote. It was my truth, and I feel really good about it. So
Yeah.
I'd like you to address that, the desire to heal.
We all have a desire to heal. We all do, right? Well, let me tell you something about putting things on paper. That's the healing process.
Yes.
So a lot of people desire to heal, whether they go to a therapist, whether they go to a psychologist, whether they just want to, stay within themselves, lock themselves out from the world for months or days or years. But there's nothing that um, stirs healing like writing. There's
Yes.
nothing, right? Because if you are in pain, as you write, it becomes cathartic.
Yes. It
So
does.
everything you're putting on paper, it's like you're spilling what's on the inside. You're breaking up that concrete boulder of pain that's on the inside. And it's like you're taking it out. And once you put it on paper, you're taking it out. And it's almost like you're standing back and you're now looking at something that is no longer on the inside, that is creating pain and triggers, but it's now on a piece of paper. And you can do whatever you want to do with that paper. You can burn it, right? You can destroy it. You can rip it up and throw it in the trash, or you can use it to impact the lives of others.
Amen to that.
Let's talk. Yeah, go ahead.
I love that. So that goes into my next question, the power of the pen. I would like you to address the power of the pen, because I tell you, as I have been writing, it has been a very empowering experience as I reflect, and I could see where I've overcome certain obstacles, and I can see my shortcomings, but I'm able to acknowledge them and grow from them. Yeah. I think the pen is a very powerful tool. What's your take on that?
So I have a quote about the pen, right? The pen creates an indelible moment in time that can never be erased.
I love that.
That's it.
I love that.
Quote, Joan T. Randall's quote, right? Because when you use your pen, it's almost as if you are creating a tapestry with ink, right? That becomes this art form that can never disappear. And that's why it is so incredible to write and publish. Every human being should write a book. Every person should write a book, because first of all, it tells the story of you. And it may not be for your children because they may know the story, yes, but it is for the generation after your children. So it's your grandchildren, it's your great grandchildren, and those to come. And not only that, you will never not be known or talked about when you have a legacy in writing about who you are and what you've done and what you experienced and what you came through, and every gift, skill, talent, treasures, ability that God has given you. You know, how do you leave that for the next generation? If you love to cook, right? Put your recipe together and put it in a book, and it becomes something for your grandchildren. If you like to crochet or knit, how do you get started? Put that in a book, put it out there. That becomes a legacy. And then those things, you leave the trademark, you leave the copyright. They can inherit those copyrights. They can inherit those trademarks. Yes. I have a trademark right now that's books to business and beyond. And if anything should happen to me, that is in my will for my grandchildren. Right? Those are things that carries on over and over, all the way down to legacy. And too often we think that we don't have a story. Too often we think that our life has no meaning, our life has no worth. We look at it and say, oh my God, you know, that was just, no, somebody out there is going through some things, and your words, your writing, what's in your book is going to give them a breakthrough. It's going to change their life. That's going to be the bridge. Like Bree, I've been talking to you about this book forever, about your book. We've talked about books forever, right? Yes. It's still not out.
Right. And this is the thing, Joan. As I approached the 10th anniversary of my son's passing, and I messaged you because I wanted to make myself accountable to you, because I know you are that friend that will pick up the phone and call me and, hey, what's happened? This is what you said. Why are you not coming through on what you said? I know you, Joan. So that's why. And see, when you put that flyer out, and I was not able to remember, I got in touch with you and I said, the link is not working. And when I didn't hear from you, I messaged you because I wanted you to know I am serious, because you've been encouraging me for a long time. But I also have to encourage myself.
Absolutely.
And I have to follow through. So I'm telling you, you have been very inspirational. And I've told you this before. I think it's very empowering for us when we have friends that we know they're going to encourage us and push us forward and lift us up. I think that in itself is a story about you, Joan.
Thank
And I
you.
think that it's a beautiful thing because, like I said, we've had some conversations that have not been pleasant. I have cried on the phone because you really let me have it. But it was what I need. Joan, I wouldn't be doing a podcast.
No.
You need to get back on Facebook. The Lord has a purpose for you. And I remember getting off the phone crying, but it was the truth. So I'm here to say to the viewers tonight that Joan is the real deal. I've spoken to several other writers and I told them, listen, if you're going to do this book, go through my friend because she knows what she's talking about and she's the real deal. I would not vouch for someone if I did not feel that they were authentic. Your book, like remember the book club when you came on our book club, and,
That
and
was that
I'm
was
telling you, Juliet Nelson's book club, and everyone said, boy, she went there. What they were so excited about that book and the fact that you came on and you went through the reading with us. It was a beautiful thing. So I'm here to say that for those of you out there who are contemplating, don't waste your time like me. Like for 10 years, I've been back
I
and
can't
forth, back
believe
and
it.
forth.
10 years already.
Yeah,
My-
it's 10 years. But like you said, it's a legacy. And this is how I'm choosing to honor my son because he was also a writer. He was a writer and it was his dream to publish. And I felt like, what better way to honor him than writing? And I'm telling you, Joan, what my next question is, reliving painful moments while writing and releasing them. I found that this time around, because before, like I said, it was very triggering and it was taking me to some dark places that I wasn't ready to deal with. And this time around, as I said, as I wrote, I cried, but I was able to leave it alone because I said to myself, there is someone out there who will read this and they will be able to relate to my experience. So I'd like you to address those and encourage those who are afraid of revisiting the painful situations, just letting them know how they can write and then release it and move forward.
Yeah. First of all, let me say hello to Angela D. That's one of my partners and colleagues in all things that I do. So she said your story is someone's breakthrough. Yes.
Amen to that.
Yeah. So, Bree, when you talk about releasing, right? It's okay to write through the pain, right? It's okay to write through the pain because, as I said before, it's cathartic. So,
Yes.
you're letting something go. But here is what I want people to understand. Your story is your story. You
Yes.
went through this phase. You went through this divorce. You went through the death of your son. You've been through a lot. You have been through a lot. You have several books. I've said that to you before.
Yes, you did.
You may have gone through domestic violence. You may have gone through, uh, a variety of stuff, right? But you survived it. That's
Yes.
the beautiful thing. And I think that's what we have to keep going back to. I have survived. I
Yes.
know it was painful, but I survived. I know it was difficult, but I survived. I know that it took me out for years, but I survived. And so, as you are writing, I want you to put on a board in front of you somewhere and said, I survived. Because no matter how painful the memory gets, no matter how painful the darkness was, right? You are here. And
Yes.
once you keep looking at those words, I survived, it's a reminder that you are here. And now what you're doing is no longer for you, but it's
Yes.
for the person that's going to read the book. So if you remove yourself from the equation, I suffered through this, but it's over. I survived. Now,
Yes.
what I'm writing is to help those who are currently suffering. So if you remove yourself from the equation, no matter how hard it is to write, just the memory of the fact that you have survived and now you're putting this on paper so that somebody else can survive.
Yes. I love how you put that, Joan. Now, can your book be a ministry of sorts? I mean, And because I think as you're helping others, I think that, I recently read a book about grief called Shake Down the Stars by my friend Renee Swindle.
Mhm.
That book, oh my gosh, it was so helpful to me and it was such a blessing. And the person, because I bought the book used, the person that read the book before me actually wrote a note to the next reader talking about how healing this book had been for them. So I think that books have the power to do so much for healing. I'd like to welcome my mom. Thank you for tuning in, Mommy. So, address that, Joe.
So
Yeah,
I love that you brought that up. And that's the reason why I trademarked Books to Business and Beyond. There was a reason for that, right? Because what I realize is the book is the first rung of the ladder, right?
yes,
The book is the platform. The book is the foundation, right? The book is the firm foundation, right?
yes,
And everything else is built on the book. So when you write that book about trauma, about healing, about the pain of losing your son, that is the first step to a brand that you can build, right?
yes,
Because from the book, you can do a workbook. From the book, you can do a coloring book. From the book, you can do a podcast. From the book, you can do a webinar. From the book, you can do a masterclass. From the book, you can create a coaching program. From the book, you see what I'm saying? So
yes.
I just talked about like 7 or 8 streams of income from one book. You can create apparel, right, with sayings from quotes in the book. And the next thing you know, you are building a brand because you wrote one book.
That is, I mean, that is so amazing when you say that. Colleen says here, Colleen Watson, our high school friend, he says, "Hi, Bridget and Joan. So nice to be able to join you both on this podcast. So proud of you both. I'm encouraged to write that book that I've dreamt of writing for many years now, especially when I listen to you, Joan. God willing, I won't postpone doing it much longer." I am so excited to hear you say that, Colleen, because my mom, I'm glad she tuned in. I wish that she would write a book because when I think of that experience of her, and
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I think back, my mom was a young woman. She was like the age of my kids now. And she took 4 children and left London to go to, my dad got up and went to work. He had no clue that when he came home, we'd be on our way to Jamaica. I don't think he ever forgave my mom for beating her at his game because he had filed for custody behind her back. And she decided, no, you're not getting my children. And she up and she left. And I think that was a very brave thing as what you did. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Joan, as I read your story, to relive that what we went through with our mother, I mean, very, very, very powerful. And I would mention that book and I've mentioned it every time you're on Bags in the Attic.
Yep.
It's definitely worth reading that book. And as a woman, I think it's very empowering, especially if you've been through a divorce or you're contemplating divorce. I think it's a very good book for you if you're in a situation like that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've heard that countless times
Oh my
from
God.
every woman that has read it.
Bree, we have sold over 6,000. I stopped counting after we sold 6,000 copies. Like I
Wow.
just completely stopped counting. And I still get royalty checks from that book till today, right? And that book came out in 2020 and we're in 2026, right? It's a
I mean,
staple.
it's such a good
And
book. I mean, now, will there ever be a movie? Because I'm telling you, that should be a movie.
so I pitched it in 2020. When did I pitch it? 2020. Oh my God. 23, maybe 2023. I pitched it for it to be a screenplay. And because,
Okay.
they have to rewrite it to turn it into a movie. So, there's a lot of legal things that goes into that. So that part is not yet finalized, but yeah, definitely is something that we have been thinking about. And then I have a local producer here in Charlotte that wants to do it. as well here as like a stage play. So I have a couple of things in the work for where that book is concerned. Yeah.
That is wonderful. Now, will you ever put that on Audible? Will you ever put it on Audible?
It is in Audible.
It's on Audible?
Uh-huh.
I didn't know.
Yep.
Okay, well, I need to go back. Okay, thank you for telling me that.
Yeah,
now, did you find a Jamaican to do the? No.
Mm-mm. So Amazon now has a beta program where they're using AI voices. So what I did was found a voice that closely sounded like mine.
Okay.
To do the Audible, but yeah, it's now an Audible.
You know, I started reading a book on Audible recently about a Jamaican family. And it was not an authentic accent, and it was such a turnoff. I couldn't finish reading it. It was just annoying. I couldn't follow through. But no, I will definitely be checking it out. Grace Liverpool Norris says, I have hesitated to share what's been in my heart, but God, the shift occurred when he removed my blinders. I think thank you for sharing that.
Let me tell you, Grace,
Joan, I'm hoping more people.
Let me tell you, Grace she was in my last cohort. So Grace workbook is coming out. And then she is launching. We just published her book that is launching on February 4th. So Grace is one of my clients. Yes. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And
wonderful.
Back, she wrote 2 books. Boom, boom, back to back. Yeah.
Powerful. That is powerful. You know, I'd like to talk about, as you write, you know, having that chance to reflect. I found that, you know, I struggled with confidence for a long time, as you know, Joan. But as I wrote and as I was reflecting, I could see the obstacles that I'd overcome over the years. And I actually felt empowered. How important is it to write and reflect? I mean, what does it do? Does it give most people a boost and encourage them?
So most often when you struggle with confidence is because there's something internally that tells you you're not good enough.
Yes.
Or something internally that tells you that you don't have the wherewithal to do it, or you don't have the knowledge, the understanding to do it. So your confidence has nothing to do with anybody else but you.
It's true.
It is so internal. It is so it's a self thing. I don't feel confident because I don't feel like I know what I'm saying, or I wonder how people are going to see me. I wonder what people will say, right? So every time we start thinking about what we think people are going to say, we lose our confidence. But when you start to write, you have to just forget about everybody else. And you have to write from a place of, as I said before, authentic, right? You have to be authentic about it. You have to tell truth to power, right? Because when you tell the truth, it gives you the power, right?
Yes.
And when you have the power, you have confidence. When you take your power back, writing gives you your power back, right? And so when you take your power back, nothing else can make you feel no, you don't feel the need to say I'm not confident. You now feel empowered.
Yes.
To stand, because remember, your story is your story. Nobody knows it but you. And the only person that can write it is you, not the other person that was in it, not your daughter, not your sister, not your brother, not your mom. You're the only one that can write your story. And when you speak truth, it gives you power, and that power gives you the confidence that you need to put it out there. And let me tell you, I'll be honest and tell you, when you write your book, don't think that you're writing your book for your friends and your family.
That's true.
Your book is for the people that need what you have for them to get their breakthrough. So don't rely on parents, siblings, sisters, brothers, friends to buy your book. 90% of my book are bought by people who have never met me before or know me on social media.
Right.
Because I have a level of influence on social media. So if I put something out, people will buy it, right?
Yes.
But that took years to get to that point. But I
Yes.
could have, if I was relying on cousins and family and friends and people that I know, I would have never sold over 6,000 copies of that book.
Well, I tell you, I'm so thankful I read that book because it was a game changer for me. I mean, I want the viewers to really stop and understand that books are powerful.
Yeah.
And I mean, it can do so much. I do a lot of reading, and trust me, it's not every book that I'm going to recommend, because some books it's like, why did I waste my time and read that? But
Right.
if I call you and I tell you to read a book and the book is good, trust me when I tell you the book is good.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about self-validation. You know,
Mhm.
there are so many that they feel the need to be validated by others.
Mm.
But what happens when there's self-validation? Because I'm not going to lie to you, Joan. I am at that place in my life now where I couldn't care less what anyone thinks about me. I couldn't care less how they view me, because I feel good about myself and for what I have done. And I
Yeah.
know the obstacles I've overcome. And
Yeah.
I think as I wrote, it did more to, for me to have that feeling. How
Yeah.
important is self-validation, and especially from the writing process?
So let me tell you about this whole self-validation thing is there are people out there that don't feel good unless they're being validated by somebody
True.
outside of them, right? But that is a level of codependency.
Yes.
So you are depending on someone else to make you feel good about the work you do or about what you do, right? That is something that is internal. Again, it's like self-deprecating. It's like,
Yes.
I don't know if I'm good enough unless somebody tells me, right? And then when that person doesn't tell you, you feel like you missed the mark. You feel like
Yes.
you didn't measure up because you may have presented something and you're thinking that you're going to get the applause and you didn't get the applause. And now you feel some type of way because there's no applause, right? So that is a very self actualization type of thing. And the minute you realize that no human being can validate who you are because you were created in the image of God, you were created to be a creative person just like God, right? And Proverbs 31 and verse 10 tells us that we are worth far more than rubies. So the minute you understand your worth, the
Yes.
minute you know who you are, the minute you are 100% sure of your identity in Christ, right? I have to go there, right? The minute you know your identity in Christ, you don't care about what another human say about you because they don't feed you, they don't clothe you, and they don't give you favor.
Amen. Amen.
Favor.
Amen.
The
I
Holy
mean, that is powerful. And I hope that the person that needed to hear that, I hope it's sinking in, because that is so true, which leads to seeing the hand of God in your life.
Come
As I
on.
wrote and I looked at all these things, and I'm like, it's only through the grace of God. It's only through the grace of God. I'd like you to address that, Joan.
And let me also say this about the grace of God, because you God brought you through these things. When you survive it, it's a lesson.
Yes.
It is a lesson. 99% of the time, the lesson is tied to your purpose,
Yes.
right? And so we wallow in self-pity because of the pain sometimes that we experience, right? But you get to a point where God pulled, and I said this before, but God pulled you out of it. And it is now your responsibility to talk about what God did for you,
Yes. I
to
agree.
talk about it, to publicly say, this is what happened to me, and this is what I came through. It's almost like that thief on the cross, right? There were two on one
Yeah.
on the cross. One was saying, if you're the Son of God, why don't you save yourself and save us? And the other one was saying, I know you are the Son of God. Remember me when you come into your kingdom. So
Yeah.
he already know that this is the son of God, right? He's not going to give him a task, oh, save me. He's going to say, remember me, right? It's the same thing when you are getting ready to put out, what you want to put out to the public, knowing that the grace of God is on you. You can't worry about what anybody said. You have a responsibility to steward what you got. And your story is a gift.
Amen. I love that, Joan. Avis Marcus says, knowing your identity in Christ is everything. Our purpose is found in our pain. Amen to that. And that is so true. I would have never chosen to be a grieving mother. I would have never chosen, like divorce and all of that stuff. Because when you get married, you don't get married with the intention of getting divorced. But these are things that I experience. And I think especially when you experience a divorce later in life, it can be a very scary thing, to make a comeback. So, Joan, what you're saying is so true, because it's been my intent to help as many people as I can and encourage others to heal, because I found that in healing, I found that sense of purpose and the desire to serve my fellow man. Because when you're in that place of brokenness, it's really hard to make a sound decision. So I'd like to talk about writing with a heart filled with gratitude. How important does that affect your writing?
Oh my God, yes. But before I get to that, I wanted to just something came to my mind just now that I
Okay.
wanted to share when you were talking about, your how you were writing. I was going to say that sometimes when you are writing from a place of favor, like knowing that God has given you the favor to write it, God knew you from before you were in your mother's womb. He knew your entire life from birth to death. He knew that you were going to experience that. So he built you in a way to survive it.
Yes.
Right. So just wanted to put that out there. But so to your next question, writing with a heart of gratitude is an absolute blessing. And when you are done writing your book, Bree, and let me tell you, when tears come, Miss Avis is on here. Grace is on here. Angela, I don't know if Angela White is still here. Angela D is still here. But when you are done with that book, no matter how painful the book is, and when you get it in your hand, the published copy in your hand, you are going to feel like a burden came off of your shoulder. All of the years that I went through my domestic violence, and after I ran away from my husband and went through all the stuff for years, and you would have heard this, and maybe Colleen, when we did our book club thing. But for years, I carried the burden of shame about domestic violence and homelessness. I carried a burden of shame. I hid it for a long time because I was just afraid I would be judged based on all the
Yeah.
things that I went through at that time. But the minute the book came out, and prior to that, every October, I would put a purple ribbon on my Facebook page to just observe domestic violence. And when the book came out in 2020, I heard a voice from the Lord says, "It is finished.
Amen.
You are resurrected." And that was the last day I put a purple ribbon on my Facebook page.
Wow.
Never
That
again.
is powerful. That is so powerful, Joan. And I am so thankful that you were brave enough to share what you went through. And I have to tell you this. I know when a book is good, I visualize the characters. It's
Yes.
like I'm watching a movie. And reading your book was hard for me because
Mhm.
I'm visualizing you, my friend.
Yeah.
So I felt so much empathy. I had so much compassion for you. And when I finished reading the book, I had to reach out to you because, first of all, I wanted you to know that I did read it, but I wanted you to know how powerful the book was, because I'm telling you, to write the things that you did in that book,
Yeah.
it had to be it had to have been a very triggering
Oh
experience. And,
God.
I mean, and,
I was depressed when I wrote it.
yeah,
Okay. I was depressed.
I can understand that, because honestly, I told you it made me relive what my mom went through with my dad.
Yeah.
And that was painful. But I think, it helped me to realize and have a better understanding of what my mom went through. And I think you have done that for a lot of other women who they probably had a better understanding of their mothers
Yeah.
after reading your book. Because it's like, as a child, I could relate to you as a woman because of what I went through in my marriage, but I could
Yeah.
also relate to your daughters. I'm like, I hope I could meet your daughters one day to talk with them, because I could see my younger self in them. I mean, Joan, I could just never get enough of your book, and I'm really looking forward to that movie. Now, I'd like to talk about writing from a place of empowerment.
Mhm. So when you are done, right? And that's why I was saying, when you get that book, a lot of times when people open the book for the first time, I mean, that's when you cry, right? Because you were saying to yourself, I did it. I did it. And there's nothing more empowering than knowing that you went through this difficult time, or you went through this thing in your life, and you were brave enough, right? You made a choice, because that's the thing. We have
Yes.
the ability to choose, but you made a choice to write the book regardless of what anybody said, and you told your truth. As we said earlier, a lot of people write their book and leave out parts of it. So you're writing half truths. That is not an authentic book, right? But if you tell your whole story from your point of view, from your perspective, nobody can take that away from you, right? And so when you see that and realize that it come to fruition, and then you get, like, I have over 50 something reviews on Amazon about that book, and every one of them you read was what somebody said after reading the book. That is empowering.
Yes.
It gives you a sense of, oh my God, I never knew what this book would do, but look at it. And not just for, Bags in the Attic, for all the other books that I've written, for all of the anthologies that I've done, where people's lives are being changed. And then two of our anthologies, we turned them into documentaries, right?
Yes.
So all those things that we have put out into the world were stories after stories after stories. That is very powerful and empowering. And honestly, it started with one book for me, right? And here I am, hundreds of books later, right? Writing 18 myself, a combination of anthologies and my own book, and then helping almost 400 people write books.
That's amazing.
All because I just started. I just like
that is absolutely amazing, which is leading to my next question. Would you agree that there is a shift of energy between the writer and the reader? And I ask you that because, I think there are books out there that have positive energy, and there are books filled with hatred or negativity, or they leave a reader in a dark place. So would you agree that there is a shift of energy between writer and reader?
Oh, absolutely. And it could be bad energy, or could be
Yes,
good energy,
yes.
right? Because I've read books where the first chapter, I put a book down and never read
Yeah.
another chapter, right? And then I've had books where I couldn't put it down. Like,
Yes.
I just read it straight for like 4 hours, right? Because I couldn't put it down. And like you said, when I can read a book and I can picture the people in my head, I can see them. I could see the character. I could see the protagonist. I could see the person that's good. I could see the lead character. I can hear when the door knock. I can know when she's smelling the flowers, or there's a chill in the air. Like, those are the things, you know what I mean? And so it transfers. Something transfers from the writer to me.
Yes.
Amazing. So yes, there is a shift of energy. There's a shift of power. There's a shift of joy. There's a shift of happiness, depending on. It's just like when you're watching a movie, right?
Yes.
Either cry, you either laugh, or you either say this is trash, right? So
It's true. It's true. Joan, I was thinking last night about One of my favorite television shows is The Waltons. And I have watched that series several times. And it's like every few years I feel the need to revisit it. And it was all from a book that was written by Earl, what's his name, Hamner? I'm not sure if I'm
Oh yeah,
pronouncing
yeah.
it right. But he wrote about Walton's Mountain. He wrote about his home. He wrote about the life that he knew. And I used to ask myself, what is it about this show that I love so much about these white people living in Virginia? But
All
it
right.
was the country life. It was I could relate to the grandparents. I had a close relationship with my grandparents,
Yeah.
and the different stories that he shared, it was really life changing because it's just beautiful. I have to send you a video from one of the episodes. I meant to send it to you before this one, but it was one of the most powerful episodes I've ever seen on television. I think it is important if he hadn't shared his story about his family in the mountains. Do you get what I'm saying? Look at the legacy that he has left behind. That
Right.
show was made in the 70s, and people are still watching that show. I think it's a beautiful thing to share your story. So, Joan, I would like to give you the rest of the time to talk about what you're doing this week and to share the link and everything. And I'm hoping that some of the viewers will decide to take you up on this offer.
Yeah. So last year, so as you know, I have my publishing company, Victorious You Press, and we have published several books. But last year, actually, it was 2024, my partner, my COO, and I noticed something, because to publish a book is expensive, right? Because
Yes.
there's a lot that goes into it, editing, this, that, all of the stuff. So, and when you publish a book, you're paying editors, you're paying formatters, you're paying graphic designers, you're paying all these other people, right? And so it could be costly to publish a really good book where the content is incredible. And that's what we stand by, our excellence in what we do. And so my partner and I started thinking, I said, you know what? I want to help people who cannot afford the $5,000 or $6,000 to publish a book. We want to help them self-publish, but we want to teach them in a way where it's a group session where they're learning together, but we're giving them all the standards, the national standards of publishing. So they're publishing it the right way. But in addition to that, we're going to help them create their own author publishing company. So we started it last year and we ran 3 cohorts, and there were 20 people that went through our cohort and all wrote and published books and now have their own author publishing imprint, which means they don't have to pay anybody to publish any books for them. They know exactly what to do. And we also connect them to our people. So our editors, our graphic designers, our, formatters, they have access to them because they went through this cohort. So if they decide to go and publish their own book, they don't have to worry about who am I going to get to edit it, because they can tap into our editors. They don't have to worry about who is going to format this book, because they can tap into our formatters. They don't have to worry about a cover designer because they can tap into our cover designers. So, and then we have a WhatsApp group where all of them get information and we stay connected and all of that stuff. So why did I do this, Bree? Because I wanted to share my knowledge of the publishing industry with the average person who desired to write but may not be able to afford a $5,000 charge. Now there is an investment, right, to get this, because I'm giving you my expertise.
Right.
So it can't be free, right? But when you walk away, you're walking away not just a book, because you write your book in 30 days. Everybody gets 30 days to write their book. And then you're building a platform that will become your legacy that you can make money from if you do it right. And that's the goal. So it's like we are giving you a business in a box with this thing. So we always do it starts out with a 2-day challenge. Last year we did it 3 days. We realized that we could cut out a day. So we have the 2-day challenge coming up tomorrow and Tuesday. Yes. And then what the 2-day challenge is, it's free, but it's an overview of all the things we're going to be teaching in the cohort. Then we'll pitch the cohort, and then people will invest and join the cohort. The guarantee is that you get your book published and you create your author imprint, and you can self-publish the rest of your books for however long and for however many books you want to write. So that is coming up. I was going to try and see if I could find the link.
Okay.
So give me a second, Bree.
Okay, no problem, no problem.
Okay, and let me see if I can find the link. Am I still on? You can still see me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So let me see if I see the link so I could drop it in here. And then
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited.
You are going to be there. Yeah. Which I love. Okay, here we go. I'm just gonna, that's not what I want to do. I just want to copy this link, and I'm going to come right back to where we are. Give me a second.
No problem. Joan will be right back, everyone.
Sorry.
Okay. That's okay. I told everyone that you would be right back.
Like, I'm coming back. Okay, there we go. I'm like, I cut it off. But I don't know. Can you see that? Did it pop up in the?
I don't see it yet. Maybe it'll. Okay, I think. Hold on.
You know what? I think it's because I put it in the private chat.
Let's see, because I don't.
Look in the private chat if you see it, Bree.
Okay, I'm looking. Oh, I see. I do see it. Okay.
And then if you could grab that, that would be great. That's what I was trying to do.
Okay. Okay. I don't now. I can't. How do I put?
You
this
just
in?
click it and then just copy and paste.
Okay. Let's see. Copy
and then you just paste it in the comments. Halftime, folks. I love it. I love it. Maxine said.
Okay. So I think it should be there now. Let me go back to the.
No, I think it's still in the private part.
It's still in the private part. Yeah. Okay, I tell you what I'll do, Joan. After the podcast, everyone, I'll post it on my wall.
Yeah, because you'd have to click on where it says comments.
Okay, because I went to the private chat. Okay, I see what I did.
Yeah. And
okay,
then you go
so copy.
And then go to comments and then paste it.
Okay, go to comments. Oh, I see what I did now.
Yeah, and then it will paste right in the comments.
And paste. Okay, there it is now.
Oh, yeah.
There we go, everyone. So Joan,
yes.
I am so thankful. I've learned a lot tonight. And, I am really looking forward to this because I've been telling you for years, and you mentioned the cost. To be honest with you, I didn't have thousands of dollars to invest. Yeah. I thought it was worth the investment, but I just did not have that. But I think this self-publishing option is definitely an option, and I'm very excited about it. So I would like to encourage the viewers to join in, do the registration and joining and see what this is about and go for it, because, everyone has a story. I wish that my grandparents had written their life story. It would have been nice to know about them as children. It would have been nice for my grandmother to write a book about her wonderful cake recipes. Yep. I think about the Toto and all the gazard and the things that she used to make for Sabbath. I wish that there was a book with her recipes. I wish there was a book with my grandfather's stories.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is making total sense. I would like you to share your closing thoughts for the evening. And once again, thank you for this, Joan.
Oh, absolutely. So for me, a book changed my life. Writing changed my life. What I have seen over the years, oh my God, Brie, I'm telling you, whew, I don't know if I would be where I am today. I've had the opportunity to do so many things because of writing. The opportunity to go to Kenya twice, to uh, bring my publishing company there, to have published books for people in London, the Bahamas, Canada, Kenya, Nigeria, France. Uh, it's, to be able to get an honorary doctorate degree because of all the work that I do in the publishing world, to be able to help, we have a scholarship for schools where children get the opportunity to be creative with writing, right? Because now everything is electronic. Like they can't even write in curse. They can't even write. The kids can't even write anymore, right? Because they just wanted to cursive out of school, so they can't even write. But what writing has done for my life, it has put me in places that I would never imagine that I would ever be. You know what I mean? And so, and the Bible tells us, right, that write the vision, makes it plain on tablet for others to see so that they can run with it. It's the same thing with your story. Like,
Yes.
it may not be a vision of a business, but it could be your story. Like, write it, let somebody else see it so that they can take what you have experienced and gone through and overcame and implement that into their life for their changes, for their breakthrough, for their bridge, right? A book is a bridge to what is next for others, right? When you write a book, it's no longer about you, but it's about the people you're called to serve. And at the end of the day, we're all servants. That's what
Yes.
we're here for. So everything that we have, everything that we got, the blessings, the giftings, the talents, all of those things, right, are to be planted, right, are to be stewarded, are to be placed in others, because at the end of the day, the Bible said, you shall know them by their fruits. So what are your fruits? What is the fruit that you are leaving? Yes, you may have children and grandchildren, right? And I get that, but that's not the only fruit. The fruit is what you do with the things that God gave you. What did you
Yes.
do with it? Like, how do you steward that? What is the fruit of who you are? When you are no longer here, what are people going to say about you? What is the life? There's nothing to show. You might leave some money, you might leave a house, you might leave a car, but all of those things are material things that gets lost in space and time. It gets lost after a while. The written word never dies, ever.
That is that that
Never
that
dies.
is that is so true. What has been the most rewarding thing about doing this business, Joan? About being in this business? What has been the most rewarding thing?
The stories from people who we have helped to publish, the tears, the crying, the how their life has changed, it's how their whole life has been transformed because they took a chance. They jumped in. They were unsure, they were uncertain, they were like, oh my God, I don't know if I have a book in me. And then one conversation with me, and they're like, oh my God, I have 5 books, because God has given me a gift to listen to people's story and to pull it out. And probably that's why I had to go through domestic violence. That's why I had to go through homelessness, right? Because God had to set me up in a way where I can go deep into the mire, deep into the dirt, and pull the story out. Had I not experienced those things, I wouldn't have the capacity to be able to pull stories out of others. So
Yeah.
all of my life, it was planned. All of it was planned, right? Nothing was just because it's supposed to happen. It was planned. From all of these things that I experienced was planned. And God knew He could trust me with it because He knew that I would write it. He knew that I would share it. He knew that I would tell people about His goodness based on what He had brought me through. So God trusted me to tell the story. And it just keeps going. Just keeps
I
going.
tell you, I will never forget that conversation we had 10 years ago, and you encouraged me to write. And like I said, I have been writing, but this time around, I know it's time.
Yeah.
I know it's time, and I'm very excited about it. And I'm hoping that Colleen and some of our other friends will join us on this journey. I'm very excited about it. Joan, thank you so much. I know you're a very busy woman. Last week you were
For
hit
you.
with the weather, and then this week again, but you were still able to come through. So no, I'm very thankful, and I'm looking forward to having you on again sometime this year.
Yeah. When your book comes out, we got to do it again.
Yes, definitely, definitely, definitely. Joan, I'm excited. I'm very excited,
Right.
nervous, but very excited at the same time. So I'd like to thank everyone that tuned in. And I'm telling you, if you're thinking about it, just make up your mind to go for it, because I think you'll be excited, and to have that legacy to leave behind for your family. I think that'd be a wonderful thing. Colleen said, enjoyed this so much. Thank you so much for tuning in, Colleen. And for the viewers who don't know us, like we go back years
Years from we were kids, like
from
little
we were
kids.
kids, high school days. I mean,
Years.
it's
Yeah.
just a beautiful thing to see where everyone is in
Yeah.
life now, and to still feel that Titchfield energy. I mean, it's amazing. It's definitely
Colleen,
a blessing.
and Colleen has been so supportive. Like she's always, saying hello on my
Yes.
page or, complimenting me. I love her. She's amazing. Love, love, love her. And
Yes, she
her.
is. And I tell you, let's give Miss Becky a shout out. I
Where's
am
Miss
definitely
Becky?
I'm going to send this to her, because from time to time I'll send, so I will make sure I send this to her, and we're giving her a shout out. Maxine, thank you for tuning in.
Sister,
Everyone that tuned in,
my little
Mike,
sister.
everyone. Thank you so much. God bless, and I'm wishing everyone a blessed week. Take care.
Take care. Bye, guys.